It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunchine.
Hey, it's the Chief from the Dice Tower. I just wanted to cut in real quick. You've been noticing Judd Vance is in a lot of my wargame videos. Having a wargame buddy is actually a very close relationship. Most wargames are just a two-player affair, and you know, if you've got a good buddy, a good wargame buddy, they're very hard to come by and even precious. So somebody that challenges you but that you're not running over all the time, just hard to find. And Judd and a couple of my other buddies are way bigger grognards than me. And sometimes I have pretty good strategy, but they take pity on me. And I wanted to bring Judd and his expertise into the videos. So you'll see him pop up now and then, and I just wanted to let you guys know why he is there, other than his Hollywood gorgeous good looks and his total love of K-State, which you'll usually see on his t-shirts. All right, it's the Chief. Back to the regular stuff. See you guys. All right, it's the Chief and Judd for the Dice Tower again. We're going to do a review on Crusader Rex, Columbia Games game. I always hate that. It's a mouthful for me. And just to let you know, if you hear some screaming in the background, the boys are awake, they're in their room, and there may be their own little crusade going on in there. So if crying breaks out, that's what it is. Real quick, Judd, it's the third crusade, but go ahead and kind of walk us through some of the, you know, gameplay time and such.
Okay. Game time on the box says about 1 to 3 hours. I'd say closer to 2 to 3 hours. It's very much a Hammer of the Scots game. If you've played Hammer of the Scots, Liberty, Julius Caesar, Richard III, you know most of this game already. ABC combat system, you play the cards, events cancel each other. You got about 5 or 6 turns to play with 6 cards each. You do. There are specific parts in the game that give you his flavor for the time period. You have winnering rules, you have night charges, fall back into castles and try to storm the castles. So, you know, like any of the other games, you got a core set, and then you got the specifics that make it work nicely for the theme.
What's the gameplay you may have mentioned? How long?
Well, I'd say 2 to 3 hours. If you know what you're doing, you could probably do it in 2.
All right. Let me show you some of the components. All right, a box comparison, just so you can see some of the differences. This is the newer box, same art, but they've centered Richard Lionheart here. I gotta tell you, I like the visual display of all the information, but I love this dude, okay? And I want to see that guy. He looks like a crusader, and that guy scares me. So for this, all intents and purposes, I like him better, rather than having their heads kind of partially cut off and my king centered. Now, to give due course, you can see kind of the full art here, so you get a little bit of that. But I know he's centered, but that guy scares me. All right. You're going to get a full color manual as opposed to just the black and white version. It comes in a little handy, obviously, with the some of the photos in here. This is not a long rule book. Either is more than doable, but it's nice to have the slightly higher quality. Let me get these out of the way. I'll show you the difference in the maps. The blocks are identical in size, but they have done some different font changes and just a slight amount of bling on the stickers. So we'll cut away. Okay, I know I got a little bit of glare here, but I just wanted to show you. No real problems with the first map. I haven't used it, but Judd told me it was fine. But you gotta give them kudos for the upgrade in design. So much prettier to look at. You can see kind of your delineating lines here. These nicely shadowed border lines show the difference between basically your Europe crusading areas that are owned and your local emirs and nomads, you know, Egypt, Syria. So just very nice. This little area here is the assassin little castle or village area or whatever. So much better physical look. Here I'm comparing the outside blocks, which are the outer portions here and here, just to their exact matches on the newer ones. So you can see the stickers have a little bit better look to them. The blocks are the exact same size and color. I just think the colors are livened up and their individual shields are kind of given a little bit of a 3D kind of view. And the fonts have all been increased slightly and to me just made a little bit more prominent. Crusader Rex does cover what's the third crusade of the 3 crusades, and it's played in a series of 6 years. The years are marked off on the map. You actually track them as you go, starting at 1187, and with each year there are 6 turns, and then each game turn actually has 4 phases. The phases are broke down simply card phase, move phase, battle phase, draw phase. You're going to play cards to mostly do movement, but also handle special events. On the map, which I showed you earlier, the major roads, which are your thicker lines, you're going to be able to move 4 blocks or a maximum of 4 blocks, whereas minor roads, you're only going to be able to move 2. This block system will be a little bit different, as as we've stated earlier in the video, than some of the different games we have. The upper left-hand corner is your movement, how far the unit can move. Then you're going to have your strengths. So it's a maximum strength of 3, which means it could take conceivably 3 hits. As a unit takes hits, it gets rotated. A nice thing in battle is that if I had 2 units that were both of the same strength, say these 2 units were both 3, if I take a single hit, I get to choose which one takes the hit. But if, let's say this guy here already had 2, then I don't have a choice. It's got to come off the unit that's stronger. Let's just assume this unit wasn't in play. So it kind of causes parity to happen in your losses. So this is also the number of die or dice you'll be rolling when you attack, and the number is what you'll hit on. So if he was full strength when I rolled for attack with him, I would roll 3 dice and they would hit or do damage to my opponent on a 1, 2, or 3. Now the letter system is really neat. If I'm battling, let's just say this was my group that was battling, the A's would go first and the defender would get to roll off first, and then the attacker. Let's assume these units were attacking. And then you would slide down to your B's, and the B's would get to roll off first as the defender and then the attacker. So, and then again, you just follow the systems I've laid out. Blocks, once again, give you the fog of war, because until you're actually engaged in battle, your opponent's never really sure what units are moving against him. He or she will know the area they're coming from, which will definitely give you hints, very much like the historical feel for it, but they don't necessarily know for sure. And as you combine units or muster units into a city or a castle, obviously they're not exactly sure who you're bringing out of that castle. Really gives that not perfect information system that is hard to capture. Again, I'm going to be a little bit vague on combat. There's a lot of minutia here. It's not a whole lot. This isn't a very heavy war game, but I want to give you more of the feel. If you're playing on the Crusader side, your knights can do charges, which are somewhat reckless, but offer a little bit more oomph. You know, you can really ride in and kind of break units. If you're playing on the Saracen sides, the nomads can do harrying attacks, where they can do their attack, they can fire basically, and then they can retreat. So they can fade in and fade out. You can do sieges on castles, and battles or sieges are fought over 3 different combat rounds. However, if you do have a siege going on, that is kind of a perpetual battle that's in play. It's kind of a nice factor because it allows you to do the, starving out of a unit, unless it's supplied by sea, but it creates the need to break the siege. The really cool thing here, and then I know you're just looking at a set of blocks, so I won't keep talking, is you've really got to prepare yourself as you're moving around, because when winter comes, you've got to get your units quartered in a city that can handle their number. And it's laid out very well on the map. Matter of fact, let me break and show you just a little piece of the map. So Aleppo can handle 3 blocks that could be inside this city. Are in this castle. It's also the number of units that could hide out in the castle. So if you had more units than that there, some wouldn't be able to retreat into the castle, but it can handle 3 during the wintering phase, whereas Sardana could only handle 1. So if I go into a wintering phase or in the year and I had 3 blocks here, I'm going to lose blocks just due to my poor planning. It makes the game really tight as you're moving around on the map, because you can't just move willy-nilly. You've got to also plan for, what am I going to do when the year ends, or what if I don't win this victory? How many units do I take with me? Where can I quarter them if I win the battle, and what cities can I get them to? Because if you don't end up with enough movement ability, or the ability to even play a card that allows you to move several units or muster them, you can end up stranding units in the middle of nowhere and they die. I love it. That was a level of strategy that I didn't expect. But I think I've covered enough. Oh, let me cover your final victory. Sorry. The way you win is based on 7 key what they call victory cities that are in the game. The Saracens actually start play with Aleppo, which is shown here, and Damascus and Egypt, and the Frank controls Antioch, Tripoli, Acre, and Jerusalem. So the battle is going to be over these main 7 cities. The person who controls the majority of the 7 victory cities after the final year, which is 1192, is the victor. And there is a sudden death victory, which is if one player controls all 7 victory cities at the end of any game turn. It's pretty hard to maneuver in and dislodge from these cities, but like I told you, the key in moving your units and getting them set up before winter comes, all I can say is winter is coming. All right, we're back. First of all, I have no other game that covers the Crusades. I knew very little about it. This is what I love about historical wargaming, is Columbia Games is real good about having some italicized text on the side of the rule book. Really drops you into the flavor of it. Crusader Rex is the 3rd Crusade. It gives you a little bit of history on the first 2. And I always forget, this is Lionheart, but it's Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it even talks a little bit about his, renowned and what he was known about, or known for. As far as gameplay, again, I love the way you've seen the map, how you're moving your guys. You got your blocks, you got your fog of war. You're pushing, 4 down the big roads, 2 down the small roads. And here's the thing I really liked about it. As you're moving through the years, you've got that wintering phase, and it really disrupts me and what I'm thinking. I'm so used to just doing my things and where do I want to hit, but you've got a deadline, really, and if you don't get your troops into wintering quarters, or if they don't win that castle siege that you've got going on, they're dead. And that feel is really captured. Also the cards and how they come in. Judd, go ahead. What do you like about it?
I really like, the wintering part. That's probably my very favorite part of it, because you got to push hard and lock them down. I really like how I had the version 1.4, the previous one, and I've been, when I got this, I didn't get this, but when I was looking at the rules, I was trying to figure out which one I liked better, and after I played it, I definitely like this one a lot better. The other one would allow you, like I think it's Jerusalem, you could take like 9 blocks if you were the Franks. They were never going to take 9 blocks. There's just too many hits you can absorb off of that. I don't know. I've only played it a few times, so maybe some guy out there said, I've done it plenty. But anyways, I like that. If it's your home base, you get to rebuild a lot more. And I thought that was a lot better system than just the raw number of blocks you can stick in it, because it doesn't make any sense that the castle's 3 times bigger if it's friendly to you. It's the same space.
Right.
So I really think the rules were a big improvement. Really like the wintering part of it.
Yeah. So the movement, the attack, the way your reserves come on, how they're placed on the board. But I'm telling you again, I'll come back to it one last time and then I'll let it go. The way, you've got a deadline, and if you can't get your troops where they need to be and win the victories that you need, about halfway through your 6-card turn, you're starting to decide, do I give up on that? Do I pull back? You're going to lose your troops if you don't pull off the victory on a siege or whatnot. And sieges are not easy to pull off. So definitely caught the flavor. I love the movement that the Crusaders, or that the I don't know, is it right to call them Crusaders? Not all Crusaders, but their movement up and down the ports on the sea, they're much more mobile in terms of how they can, you know, he's popping in behind me all the time. And if I don't garrison something along the road, he'll be right in the back door.
Yeah, you can cut off their retreat pass and eliminate them. All you got to do is hold out 3 rounds, and then they're going to have to fall back if you cut their retreat pass off, which is pretty standard fare and hammer of the Scots games. But the road movement system, if you like Julius Caesar, same system with the road movements limitations. I really like that. It's a lot easier to manage and memorize than the hex site limits.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. So, all right. Chief and Judd, Dice Tower. See you guys.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.